Upon entering the synaptic cleft, acetylcholine has two main pathways, right? So the mechanism of acetylcholine is by stimulating the nicotinic and muscarinic receptors on the postsynaptic membrane. That's the transmission of impulse. The concentration in the synaptic cleft is reduced by the enzyme acetylcholinesterase, here in green. So cholinomimetics, as I said in the previous video, can be direct or indirect. Direct cholinomimetics, they mimic the action of acetylcholine, right, by stimulating nicotinic and muscarinic receptors. You can click the link on the top right corner and watch direct cholinomimetics. Indirect cholinomimetics target this enzyme called acetylcholinesterase, right? So these drugs are called anticholinesterases. They are indirect acting M or N cholinomimetics with reversible or irreversible type of action. Their mechanism is this. They bind to the acetylcholinesterase here in the synaptic gap, inhibit it, and decrease acetylcholine destruction. This will result in accumulation of acetylcholine amount in the synaptic gap and an increase in acetylcholine interaction with muscarinic and nicotinic cholinereceptors. Now, anticholinesterases can be divided into two groups: natural or synthetic, right? So natural are tertiary and synthetic are quaternary, right? The main important thing here is that a natural anticholinesterases have the ability to cross the blood-brain barrier, whilst synthetic do not cross the blood-brain barrier. So let's talk about these drugs one by one, starting with physiostigmine. Right, so physiostigmine is actually an alkaloid from Physiostigma venetionum. Right, so this is the plant. It's given either intramuscularly or IV. Right, this drug is well absorbed and it penetrates the central nervous system, and it is a reversible effect. These are the main indications: glaucoma, intoxication by atropine. This will be, for example, belladonna flower or Jameson's weed. Also, intoxication by choline blockers and tricyclic antidepressants. This drug can also be used in early stages of Alzheimer's disease and is toxic. The next drug is galantamine, right? So it's also called Nevaline. This drug is administered subcutaneously, intramuscularly, or even orally, right? It has the ability to penetrate the central nervous system, and it is a reversible anticholinesterase action. The main indications include paralysis, neuritis, early stages of Alzheimer's disease, and other neurological conditions. This drug is not used in glaucoma due to its irritative action, right? So galantamine is not used in glaucoma. Other drugs which you also use for Alzheimer's disease include donazepam and rivastigmine. Next is neostigmine or prozerine, right? This is a synthetic form, right? It's a synthetic preparation which is administered orally, subcutaneously, via IV, or even topical, as in eye drops. This drug does not penetrate the central nervous system, and the main indications include post-operative and neurogenic ileus, urinary retention, myasthenia gravis, reversal of neuromuscular junction blockade, like post-operative. For example, if you're using like this curare based compounds like tuberculin. It's also used in paralysis, neuritis, and some kinds of arrhythmias, and also in glaucoma. This drug is also used in atropine poisoning. It can stimulate labor activity, and in the industry, it can be used for xerostomia, that's a dry mouth. And this drug is less toxic. Pyridostigmine, right? So pyridostigmine is also known as calamine, right? So this drug acts longer but less potent than neostigmine. It is administered orally, and it increases acetylcholine, right? So the other drugs which we talked about, all of them, they increase acetylcholine in the synaptic gap. But in addition to that, pyridostigmine also increases muscle strength. This drug is used together with glycopyrrolate, hyoscyamine, or propanthalline to control the side effects of pyridostigmine, right? And the main indications include myasthenia gravis, and it's long acting, and is also used in neurological diseases. The next drug is Edrophonium. This drug is used as in diagnosis of myasthenia gravis, but now it has been replaced by anti-acetylcholine receptor antibody test. Phosphacolum. This drug is toxic if you use it systemically, is only used in glaucoma, and is long-lasting. The action of this drug is irreversible. Do you know what else is irreversible? Anticholinesterase poisoning by organophosphates. All right, so let's look at this anticholinesterase poison. It's mainly due to organophosphates. For example, parathion. Organophosphates are commonly used as insecticides and poisoning usually occur in farmers. Right, so organophosphates have muscarinic effects, nicotinic effects, and central nervous system effects. All right, let's start with muscarinic effects. Right, so organophosphates cause diarrhea, urination, meiosis, bronchospasm, bradycardia, emesis, and nausea, right? Nausea and vomiting, lacrimation, sweating, salivation, right? So there is a mnemonic, it's called DUMBELLESS. These effects are reversed by atropine, right? Atropine is a competitive inhibitor, and atropine can actually cross the blood-brain barrier to relieve central nervous system effects. Atropine cannot reverse paralysis. Nicotinic effects. This is a neuromuscular blockade, which is similar to succinylcholine, right? And the effects are reversed by pyridoxine, right? So pyridoxine, it regenerates or reactivates acetylcholinesterase via dephosphorylation if you give it early. Pyridoxine, or PAM, is a quaternary amine. It does not cross the blood-brain barrier, right? But atropine can. Another drug which we also use is aloxim. And pyridoxine can actually reverse paralysis, and it does not work on aged organophosphates, right? So you need to give it early, right? If you give it later, then it won't work. Central nervous system effects include respiratory depression, lethargy, seizure, and coma. Thank you so much. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. If you get the opportunity, you can check in the description box. I have different books for step 1 and step 2. Until next time.